Welcome, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you joining me, as always. And we've got a great show coming up for you today. I've got a lot of good friends coming on, and these are friends that used to play for the Washington Redskins. Now, obviously, the Washington Commanders, but they were Redskins. And they're going to come on and we're going to break down, this whole thing that I started a couple weeks ago where I asked the question, was Jayden Daniels a top 5 quarterback? A lot of people were like, no, you got to wait. He's got a couple more years. He's got to prove it. Some of you are like, no, he's top 5 right now. Maybe there's some bias involved. Well, I figured, why not bring in some guys that I'm good friends with on top of it, but guys that had some success in the NFL and get their thoughts on it. So coming up when we come back from break, I'm going to have the one-man gang. Lorenzo Alexander did some great things in D.C. as well as up in Buffalo as well. We're going to have him come on and get his thoughts. And then also, a little bit later on, I'm going to have Chris Wilson, good friend of mine. You played linebacker for the Washington Redskins when he played. He's going to come on with me. And then someone that comes on frequently with me, and you know who this is, Mr. Anthony Armstrong, former wide receiver with the team. He's going to come on as well. So I've got 3 guys that I consider friends that are going to come on and help me break this down and get a player's perspective on if Jayden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback. It's that time of the year right now where the draft is coming up, and in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about what the Washington Commanders did in the draft. Who did they draft? Who did they go out and get? So for the next show, which comes up tomorrow here, which is going to be Friday Fan Day, we're going to talk about that. We're going to get the fans' thoughts on who's going to be the Washington Commanders draft pick. Are they going to trade up? Are they going to trade back? Or are they going to use the pick? So we're going to talk about all those things over the next 2 days. But today it's to talk about Jayden Daniels and his top 5 status. If you want to subscribe to this podcast, it's simple. All you've got to do is you can subscribe to the podcast on an audio form on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, Amazon, Spreaker, Deezer. You name the podcast platform and the show's on there. And then, of course, you can subscribe to it and watch it via YouTube at the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. So once again, several ways you can get it. And guess what? Tuesday of next week, starting every Tuesday, the show will actually be on live radio, terrestrial radio. If you know what that is, if you're an old head like me, you know what that means. If you live in the DC area, the DMV, in Northern Virginia, Maryland, up to Baltimore, all the way down here to Richmond, you will be able to listen to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show on 1450 AM and then 95.9 AM, and that's also on the digital platform for Radio 1. So on Tuesdays, you'll be able to hear it that way. And of course, it's still going to be, filmed on YouTube and all that good stuff. But you'll be able to, if you're in your car and you don't want to subscribe to anything, but you just want to hear it in the radio, or if you're at work and you just want to hear it on the radio, you'll be able to hear it on those stations. And on Tuesday, the show's presented to you and brought to you by Crossover Meats, and they're doing some really, really good things as far as, trying to put out healthy product for all of us out there. And yes, we'll be able to get more with them on Tuesday, but I'm going to have them on the show as well. So excited about everything that's going on. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to have my good friend, the one-man gang, Lorenzo Alexander, former NFL great. We're going to have him coming on with us. Hang tight. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you guys joining us. And as promised, I mentioned that we were going to bring in some players, some former players on top of that would be able to answer the question that you guys won't let go away. And it's something that I brought up a couple weeks ago. So I'm bringing in a good friend of mine. Really needs no introduction if you're a Burgundy and Gold fan. Also, if you are a Buffalo Bills fan, this guy wreaked havoc up there in Buffalo as well. So let's bring in my good friend, Lorenzo Alexander. What's up, Zoe?
Hey, Lake, man, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm glad. I appreciate you coming on. So the question that's been making the rounds over the past couple weeks is something that I brought up on this show. And the question was Jayden Daniels a top 5 quarterback? And a lot of people were like, "Yes, of course he is," and
Oh.
so I had said, yeah, I had said
Yeah,
after
yep,
1 year, people are probably going to need to see him do it again.
right,
Obviously, the eyes don't lie. You know, his skill set and everything that he can do on the field. Yes, it shows that he is a top five quarterback from a
right,
talent standpoint. But I
right.
want to ask you, a former player that had a defensive player of the year type of category under his belt. What do you see in this guy, and is he a top five quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you say he has the capacity to be a top five quarterback. And we all know that based on 1 year, you're never anointed as a top five guy. And I mean, we can go as back in the day as RG3, which is, I mean, it's
Hmm.
not that far back in the day, but, RG3 was that 10, 12 years ago. And then you
Hmm.
have CJ Stroud, right,
Hmm.
last year, where we see a big time first year and then a drop off in the second year. And it's obviously for different reasons, right? RG3 had a significant injury.
Hmm.
CJ Stroud had a rookie slump, right? Some receivers changed up. So there's different things that go on as far as the ability for a receiver to play at a high level or a quarterback to play at a high level. And I always tell people that quarterback is the most dependent job out there, right? They get a lot of the praise as they should, right? Because it's the hardest job on the football field. But you got to have so many things going right, from coordinators to receivers knowing what they're doing, the offensive line blocking. Obviously, a young quarterback continue to learn and grow. For them to go out there and put up the type of numbers that we saw Jayden Daniels doing his first year. And so we know that people are very competitive in the NFL, right? You have the best of the best operating at a high level, from players and coaches, scouts. And so people are right now in the lab trying to figure out, how do we impact this young man if he decides, hey, I'm just going to kind of stay the same, right? And so
Right.
we have to see what he looks like. We have to see how people are going to attack him this year. And then, is he going to consistently be able to make the adjustments over the course of his career to maintain, I guess, that top five type of status? Because if he does what he did last year, yeah, year over year, yeah, he'll be a top five guy. But right now, with the guys in the league, the guys that have been doing it longer, I think it's disrespectful. And I know we got fans, we got, people are biased, but it's disrespectful to put him over someone who's been doing it 4 or 5 years. He came in and did it one.
So let me ask you this question, though: is Jaden, in your opinion, a top 10 quarterback?
I would probably say so. I'd have to go through all the guys, but I would say he's probably top 10. He's probably right there, kind of in the mix. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna always put him over any Dallas Cowboy quarterback out there just off a jump. But no, I think he's probably right there, mid-range guy. If he puts another 2 years kind of together, I think he'll be considered that next guy to kind of step in and be the face, especially if we think about, the Washington Commanders and who they are historically as far as being a very relevant team in the NFL. That
Right.
alone, I think, is going to take that platform and really blow up who Jayden is, and put him on kind of front street year in and year out as well.
Folks, talking with Lorenzo Alexander, former NFL linebacker, defensive end, offensive lineman. People don't remember those days, though.
Yeah, no, no.
We're talking about Jayden Daniels, and I also want to get your take on just for what you saw last year with the Commanders. I mean, it was a magical season, NFC Championship, probably with, as I say, the worst roster they're probably going to ever fill, just from a sheer talent standpoint. And that's no offense to those guys, because you get to the NFC Championship game, you're doing something right. But
Right.
I just think that now that they've had another year under their belt, Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Josh Harris, Jayden Daniels, it should be a lot better this year. And you may not get the wins and losses record that you had last year, but I think
Yeah.
the product on the field should be a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, because it's continuity, and I think that's been the biggest thing, probably over the course of, my tenure when I was there, and
Mhm.
even like when they, couldn't sustain success. There was a lack of continuity, and so I think with new ownership, I think a new vision and mission, having different people that have different values, that is really setting the culture and establish it, and a good culture at that, because you can have bad cultures. I think that is why you're seeing this ascension happen fairly quickly. and I haven't met the ownership group, but I know a ton of people like Magic Johnson, for example, right? We all know who Magic is and what he's done in basketball and business as he's transitioned. But I have a friend that works for the Dodgers, and he's a scout, right? And he says the way Magic connects with people and makes you feel like, hey, you may be in sales, but it's just my doing my job. I'm
Hmm.
actually out here winning these games as well. And he makes you feel valued in that way. And I think when you have a culture and people in a building that produce that type of feeling in people, you're going to do well, right?
Yeah,
Now, you
yeah.
may not win the championship, but you're going to be relevant. You're going to be successful. People are going to look at you as, top tier in your business. And I think people want to go there. Talents is going to want to go there. In terms of people in around the building, but also players like, oh man, what Washington Magic over there, man? I hear all those great things. DQ is really doing a great job, and they got a QB, man. I would, man, sign me in DC, right?
Yeah.
Sign me up. How can I get over there? So to your point, yes, I think that's why. I think to your point, better talent's going to want to go there. They're going to draft better, right? They're going to be able to still free up some money because they got that quarterback kind of locked in for the next, probably 3 years or so. And so guys in free agency over the next couple of years, I think people are going to want to come in. The way they probably have their system now as far as how they recruit players, or I should say assess players, they're going to be
Yeah.
getting the right guys, right? Not necessarily the biggest name, but the right guys that's going to come and fit in that culture and help them win games and continue to elevate that organization to ultimately get back to a championship, which they want to do.
I'm glad you said not the biggest names, but the right guys, because I've had fans coming at me already saying, well, you were saying that everyone's going to want to play in Washington based off some of the things you just said.
Right.
And I'm like, look, they made a trade. They brought in Laramie Tunsil. That's a huge trade, to get a protector for your quarterback. They brought in Debo Samuel,
Yeah.
so those are some name guys, but it's the Will Harris's, of the world that they brought in that I think are really good football players. And Joe, how many times have you seen, like, this is 2 years in a row now, but how many times over your career have you seen veteran players signing 1 year deals? That should be enough to tell you that they want to come to Washington and see if they can make a run at the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. And because most guys don't like 1 year
Yeah,
deals.
that's what I'm saying. That's unheard of.
I mean, you want some continuity now. Obviously the money's pretty good for these days. It's different, right? It's definitely grown, so you're almost okay sometimes. So I can get back to the market, but most of the time when you're looking for deals, you're looking for somebody that's going to pay you over 2 to 3 years, so you have
Yeah.
some type of certainty, right, as far as your job status, especially if you're a veteran. Most of the time you're going to be there unless something significantly happens. So it is showing that they're able to get guys to come there. It'll be interesting to see like the structure of those deals, like especially when you have some veterans that are signing more like a minimum style deal. That'll
Yeah.
really let you know guys want to come there.
And it's
Um,
incentive based at that
right,
point, right?
right, and then you can get stuff on the back end, and so it's continue to grow, continue to expand. I know as well. Like I just was on a call yesterday with the Legends community, Tim Hightower, and just they're bringing even back some of that the essence of guys. Right, in my era, we didn't win a ton, right, but I think you have some great players that played in my era that have won. When you think about like a London Fletcher, men like that. When you think about man, a ton of names like Doc Walker. When you got
Yeah.
Brian Mitchell, you
Yeah.
got that kind of that old guard.
Santana
Even
was
some
there with
guys,
you at
some
times.
guys that I don't even know, like back in the '60s and '70s. Really trying to bring in that knowledge, that value, to really help the organization, help current players as well, right? Because to make that transition, to be able to
Hmm.
see themselves as a pro, what does that look like? What does that mean? And so they're doing a lot of great things. And so, yeah, bringing in veterans like physically to play, but also legend veterans to also help facilitate that growth from young players as well. So, because I always believed if you have a better young man that's out there on the football field, he's going to produce better because he's more resilient, better character. So he's going to be a force multiplier when things hit the fan, as we always know they do throughout an NFL season.
Folks, talking with Lorenzo Alexander, former NFL linebacker, and just one of the high character guys that you'll ever meet out there. And You took your talent up to Buffalo, and it was almost like, I don't want to use the word, but it was a resurrection. I mean, you
Right.
went up to
Yeah.
Buffalo and did damage. And I know, we know each other, so I know you were like, I could have done this in Washington just if I was given opportunities. But,
Yeah.
how do you balance the love that you get from the Burgundy and Gold fans and the love you get from Bills Mafia? Because I know you get it from both sides.
Yeah, yeah. I actually got some slack a couple of years ago when I was legend of the game and the Bills played the Commanders in DC. So I mean,
What
it's
you mean you got
easy.
some slack? What happened? What you mean
Oh,
people?
Bills, Bills Mafia was trying to call me out a little bit,
Hey man,
and
come
then
on,
which
man.
is fine because it's the last organization I played for, and I get, and it's the only team that's never cut me, so it's real easy for me to pick,
Right.
But I have a lot of love for all the fans. Obviously, I got my start in DC and really became the person, or started to become the person I needed to be able to accomplish what I did throughout my career, just from the great people,
Hmm.
obviously meeting you, the media, just a lot of people, and a lot of different aspects of my life and journey as a man that really helped me take it to the next level. And so I'm going to always have a spot in DC in terms of what it means to me and my family. I got married there, started my family. So it's just a lot of great things that I remember about DC. But Buffalo is why I was able to finish it. And I didn't necessarily take my talents up there. I was kind of forced to. It was really my only offer at the time. So I mean, I had to, man, I guess the league is telling me I got to go here.
Hey
So
man, God doesn't make
God,
mistakes.
yeah, he don't make mistakes, right? So God has put me in great positions throughout my career, and a lot of times I was reluctantly wanting to go, and great things happened on the other side of being obedient and actually going through with it and showing up in those spaces. So I say to say, if you're gonna put me on, if you're gonna make me choose,
Hmm.
it would be Buffalo.
I
It just
understand.
is what it is.
Yeah, I understand. I
And
understand.
it's a lot of different reasons. It has nothing to do with the fan base because the fan base has always had my back, has always repped me in DC. So, but yeah, so
Hey,
it just
listen.
comes
That
down
that
to
that 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 ownership and management group are no longer in town, so it's
right.
okay.
Oh yeah, it's just a different experience. So yeah, it's just a way
Absolutely.
different. Even talking to like Tim Hightower, you're talking about a guy that's in the Legends community. You can see the shift now that we have just the relationship with former players, guys that have played, like I just
Hmm.
mentioned a second ago, and
Hmm.
that just tells you, right? This, as much as people want to make it a business, this is a relationship
Yeah,
business, right? This is
absolutely.
not a product or an inanimate thing, a TV or some type of product that man has created, right? This is something when you have to deal with people, meet them where they're at, understand who they are, grow together, talk, go through some bad things together, hard times, great times as well, and really get to know people if you want to have sustainable success. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
from the top down, bottom up, and you got to be able to treat people right in all aspects if you want to be first class. And I think people are getting that essence and that sense of that's what this ownership is going to do. That's their vision, and they're bringing in people that embody that. So I'm very hopeful for the future of this organization and what they're going to continue to be able to do because they have the right people in place that's going to help facilitate that process. Not to say they're not going to have some ups and downs,
Yeah.
but I think it's going to be much more of what we're used to when you think historically of who the Commanders were.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Zoke. Is there any possibility that this year we could be looking at a Commanders Bills Super Bowl?
Man, I wish it's just so much that has to go right for me to
I
even,
understand.
man. The things that like the Chiefs and the Patriots have done. When you play the game and you realize how hard it is, it's just that much more. And you may hate those teams, right? But I just have so much respect for those players and those coaching staffs because the hardest thing about winning isn't necessarily going out and preparing. Everybody loves to prepare. It's actually knowing how hard it is to do it. Like, so you can almost psych yourself out. That's why like a
Hmm.
lot of teams win early. Like, how did y'all do it? Well, we didn't really know what was going on. We just was out there just playing. Right. But then the
Right.
next year you look like, damn, we got to do that, we got to win them, we got to beat them. Right. And it's really hard to compartmentalize that on top of
Now
right the
you're the
way,
hunted too, by the
yeah,
way.
the hunted and on top your body, right? Football is a collision sport. That I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's more and more games that you're putting together a year over year. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, the chances of that are happening with the quarterbacks that are, especially in the AFC, is
It's tough, man.
unlikely. I'm just thinking about my Bills, and you still got to see, Pat Mahomes every year,
And
Lamar
Lamar,
Jackson,
yeah, man.
just
Joe
guys,
Burrow, yeah.
Burrow. It's just really daunting, every year, and you got to be on point and playing at the right time. And it's, in terms of the Bills, they just haven't been able to get over the hump.
Yeah, they're close, man. I
They're
mean,
close. Yeah. It's a lot of
it,
close teams. I mean, they got the only team to go to 4 straight Super Bowls and lose 4. I mean, so they've always been close. That line that people always like, oh, I just couldn't. Man, that's a hard line to get over.
it's a hard line, and as you said, you look at what Josh Allen has to go up against in the AFC. Not to mention the young upstarts, CJ Stroud and
Right.
Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Now in Denver, they should be a much better team. So it's just a tough road. So when I asked you that question about Jayden Daniels being top five, I think we all can agree from an eye
Yeah.
standpoint, yes,
For
we can
sure.
see that he's got rare talents. But yeah, you've got to string them together, as you said. Now if they can get this team to the Super Bowl this year, that conversation becomes much stronger, at that
Hmm.
point. But as far as just the duration of your career, as this gentleman right here can attest, it's not easy. You have to reinvent yourself almost on a yearly basis in order to have any
Right.
success in the NFL.
No, that's real. That's real. I mean, talk a lot about this, right? If you're not intentional about who you want to become and growing, you're getting worse. I mean, there's
Hmm.
no staying the same. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. It's as simple as that. And a lot of and I fell victim to this. And it's not saying Jaden is going to do this, but he's successful. He's a human being. I know how he's a professional, but sometimes when we have success, especially early, we relax a little bit.
Hmm.
Oh, I made it, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
it's not like this big thing that happens in your mind. It's just like this little subtle shift, just a little bit, right?
Hmm.
And then you get hit in the mouth like, oh man, I didn't do that thing I did, that little thing I did that adds
Hmm.
up to be a difference maker. So hopefully um, he doesn't allow that to happen his first year, only 1 year, and is able to put things in perspective and just continue to watch film. That's the biggest thing from a QB, right? The processing, right? I'm not talking about getting bigger, stronger, faster. I'm talking about the things that he's going to be able to recognize to put his team in a better position. Instead of getting 3 points, they get a touchdown, right? They enter
Hmm.
into a win, or be able to drive down and get a last minute field goal instead of losing a game that would have maybe gave them the number one seed. And now you're in a much better position in
Hmm.
terms of winning the Super Bowl because you have a bye. So, like little incremental things like that I'm talking about, that's going to be the separator, not like these big overarching. Because he's going to work hard, he's going to run, he's going to be lifting weights, right? He's going to show up to OTAs and do all those things. But it's like the little things that even your teammates don't necessarily see you doing, right? That's going to put you over the edge, and how almost uh, maniacal you have to be as far as I'm locked in, almost to the detriment of some other things that may be important in your life as well. But that's what all the great ones are able to do and find that balance. So I'm praying that he's able to find that as well.
Yeah, now you can't use that rookie. You can't always have that, as your excuse, so to speak. Oh, he's a
Oh yeah,
rookie, he'll get better. I mean, what he did yet last year was set the precedent. I mean, he had an unheard of rookie campaign, perhaps the greatest rookie campaign ever.
right.
So now everyone knows about him. Everyone is going to be hunting him now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses in his career in his second year, folks. Lorenzo Alexander. I mean, it's early out there in Arizona, man. So I greatly appreciate you coming on.
Absolutely.
What are you working on? Anything special you got going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple of things in the fire right now. I've been really more active on social media. So if you want to follow me on IG, Lorenzo underscore John. I'm also on this platform. I think they call it TikTok or something like that. But that's more, yeah,
Of
So
course.
apply pressure. You can look me up. I don't really engage in that. I'm still learning that. But obviously to grow that social media brand, so people who don't know me get to know me, right? And I'm just on there talking a lot of things for young athletes, parents, and coaches in the youth space, right? Trying to give you a better perspective of what's important now in terms of young athlete development in those three areas. And so check that out. Coming out with a YouTube channel here as well, and then working on a book about the life and journey of my career. But really, obviously, it's about me, but even more so, right? You can see this thing behind me that says "One Man Gang," given to me by Fred Smoot, in terms of a nickname that one man's gang, right? So the gang of people that really helped me become who I needed to become to do the things I did in the league and to have the impact that I did have and continue to have, right? So yes, it's about me, but really emphasizing you need a community, you need to connect with people around you, and just showing it throughout my entire life how God has really had his hand on my life. So those are the kind of things that are in the fire right now. Really excited about those things because it's impactful. Hopefully, it brings some value and solutions and some insight to people in their journey, especially when we talk about our parents and our coaches and really helping these young people navigate, whether it's your son or your son's best friend or a group of kids that you've been called to be stewards over, in various ways. Where you that uncle, you really ain't your nephew, but hey, man, come here, let me get you, or you signed up to be a coach. Hopefully, this book will be able to give you some insight and perspective on how impactful that really is, and the things that you need to do as someone that's been called to do that, whether you ask for it or not.
Yes.
You can do it the best way. So that's my goal in all these things, is trying to help people just look inside, make that relationship with Christ. Obviously, that's what I'm talking about, and then use that to be impactful to someone else.
Man, couldn't think of a better person to bring on for this. And it's the times we're in right now. I've had some people tell me, oh, you can't mention, your faith and stuff so freely. I'm like, what? Why wouldn't I do that? That's
Right,
who I am. That's why I am where
right,
I am.
right,
So
right.
and so to have a gentleman like yourself come on here, that still involved with the league and helping a lot of the youth out there. I just think it's important that we have these platforms to be able to just talk and let people see, especially people who look like us. On top
Yep,
of that, I
right.
think it's important that we show that you can do things the right way and still be successful on top of that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Christ is at my center. I identify as a Christian, right? And that's why I try to live my life. I'm not not perfect, but that's what I'm trying to do every single day, and
Of
trying to
course.
impact and love on people. And that at the end of the day is what it's all about, right? Using the
Absolutely.
gifts that I have to impact and love on others. And you've obviously and your family have been a part of that journey, and just want to say thank you for having me on, and
I
all the things
appreciate
that you,
that.
you continue to do is really cool to see, and proud of you, brother.
Same here. Likewise, my friend. Well, look, man, I'm not going to hold you any longer. I appreciate you coming on. And, we got to get you back on here real soon. And as the season gets closer, we'll bring you back on and get some of your great insight. But as always, my good friend, man, it's good to see you. Good to see you doing well. And tell the family I said, what's up?
All right, brother.
All
Appreciate
right.
you, man.
All right. Take care now.
Later.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. And as we promised you earlier, we're going to bring in our second participant, a gentleman that really needs no introduction if you are a fan of the Burgundy and Gold. He did some great things during his time here playing for then the Redskins, but he's still a big time Commanders supporter now. And let's bring him on, Mr. Anthony Armstrong. What's going on, Ant?
What's going on, man? Man, last night I went to the Lakers Mavs game. I was out there. I was on the
Ooh.
court dancing and everything. Lord, it was an electric atmosphere. But yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to be back with you.
Man, look, before we get into what we're going to talk about, somebody must feel really stupid in Dallas after that kind of ovation for Luca. I mean, that just wasn't a good trade, man. That was one of the worst trades I've ever seen in the history of basketball.
Man, it's definitely something that's hard to handle as a fan of the Mavs. I've been a fan of, from way back when Jason Kidd was drafted, Jamal Mashburn, Popeye Jones. I mean, they had the three J's, Jim
Jeez.
Jackson. It was some bad basketball, but it was
So I
some young
forgot you're
talented
A
stars.
Texas guy. You're back home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh my
Yeah, that's a
gosh,
whole team.
man.
But look, I'm gonna tell you. I know we getting on Washington, but Texas, we have a relation, especially Dallas. You have a relationship with your players, and when you go from one superstar to the next, like you hold on to that, right? And then to have that taken away, it was just painful for the fandom. It was like you got your legs waxed, and you didn't even know you had that going on at that moment, and you just didn't expect it, and it was tough. But the support was there for Luca,
Good
and
for him.
they definitely showed. We showed him love, despite the situation, and he knows that he was loved, and he's always going to be loved in Dallas.
I mean, you just don't trade 25-year-olds that just took your team to the finals. I mean, we're not talking a 35-year-old bum. We're talking
Yeah.
about a guy that's best basketball is still ahead of him. And now to see it for the Lakers, that's where the sword digs a little deeper. You know what I mean? The rich
Oh
get richer.
yeah. Oh yeah, man. That's just one of them things. You're like, how did the Patriots get somebody else? So there's one of
You know
those
what I'm
things,
saying,
But
man?
hey, let's focus on
All
football.
right,
What's
all
going on
right.
with Washington?
Well, for the past few weeks, and you and I talked about it, earlier this offseason, but the question that I had brought up has kind of picked up some legs. And the question was Jayden Daniels a top five quarterback? And everyone has a varying degree. Some say absolutely yes. Some people say no, he can't be because he's only played 1 year. So my thing was, as opposed to having fans, and no offense to the fans, because they're our lifeline, both of us, but I wanted to get someone on that had played the game,
Hmm.
preferably a defensive player and then an offensive player. So earlier today, I had one man gang on, Lorenzo Alexander, good friend of both of ours, and he came on and gave his assessment, and he said not yet. He said clearly you can see the trajectory's going there, but he wouldn't put him there yet. Needs to see a little bit more. After you, I'm going to have Chris Wilson come on, a linebacker, another defensive player, see what he thinks. But you were a guy that played at a high level, wide receiver. So naturally, you're going to have an affinity for a quarterback. So
Yeah.
my question once again to Anthony Armstrong now is Jayden Daniels a top five quarterback right now?
I'm going to split it and say that there's a top five QB. I can't give that to him just out of respect of the league, right? You're gonna name 3, 4 people that have got to be in that conversation before you get to
Gotta
me.
be.
You know what I mean? So there's no disrespect to the young man. I think
But
he's
wait, wait,
gonna
wait,
be
wait.
there.
Wait, not to cut you off. You
Yeah,
said three or four. So we already know Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson,
yeah,
Josh Allen,
yeah. After that,
Joe Burrow,
you know,
Jalen Hurts.
you start putting those names in there, and I think you have to respectfully put those guys ahead of Jaden. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Now,
Hmm.
I'm one of these guys where maybe I'm not as big on maybe a Herbert out there in LA with the Chargers. I'm not as big on him. I
Yeah.
think it was just a big guy, big arm. He's kind of just always looked the part, didn't really have the on-field performance, but that's neither here nor there. I think Jaden is quick to surpass those guys.
Hmm.
If he has that same success he did last year, this upcoming season, now it's really like, oh yeah, he's top five. But what I will say, he is definitely top five in his top five most impactful quarterbacks on a team. Right? When you see his addition to this roster, he took it to another level. The way he handles himself, the turnovers way down. The
Hmm.
sacks, I think the sacks are way down from the way that he handles himself in the offense. So when Laramie Tunsil comes in, they're like, oh, he's got 19 holding penalties. He's a turnstile.
Nah, that'll go down.
The ball's going to be out of the hand so quick. They're not a long drop back team. So I
Yeah.
think it works out well in their favor. So most impactful quarterback, he is in that top five for sure. Top five in the overall in the league. Can't give it to him yet, but he's close.
Okay, so folks, that's two NFL players, two guys that have done it, lived it, and for them to say that, and they both have said the same thing out of respect. It's not anything against Jaden because they think he's going to be there, but kind of like pump the brakes just a tad.
Yeah.
So my argument was this: from the eye test, I don't know if I can name five that are better than him. As far as from the eye test, what I see, what I saw at practices, what I saw in games, I've never seen it before. And
Yeah.
obviously, I had never covered Lamar in Baltimore or
Yeah.
any of the other guys. So I don't know if you can dismiss it without
Now,
really giving it some legs, because the
that's
other thing is when I looked at the stats last year, this guy had a better completion percentage than all of them.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's
I
a
mean,
rookie we're talking about.
And it is some play call dependent. I mean, I
Mhm.
understand that, but the thing is, what you do see from him that happened game in and game out, especially in that stretch late in the season, the dude
Mhm.
was making the throws.
He
He was
got
making the
better.
plays. Yeah, he was still continuing to grow. And it's going to be really exciting to see what he does in that second year, because that sophomore season, everybody's like, oh, it's going to be a sophomore slump. That ain't no hot take. I mean, it's
Yeah.
expected for him to take some sort of a slide back and some sort of a dip. But just as much as the tape they're going to have on Jayden, he's going to have that same tape that everybody has on him. So if you don't think he's not studying himself, you know that he is. He's going to be working on some things, and he's going to process that much faster, I think.
So I knew someone was going to say that as far as that sophomore slump. That's what everyone says. You know who didn't have sophomore slumps? They actually had MVP seasons in their second campaigns.
Who that?
Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. So I would
Yeah.
like to think that Jaden's going to trend that direction than the trend the direction where most of the other guys struggled
Yeah.
their second year. And I think the difference is when you look at Lamar Jackson and you look at Patrick Mahomes, why would they have success in their second seasons? And it's because of the coaching and the stability of the organization. I think Jayden has that. I think
Yeah.
that that's what's going to aid him to have, no sophomore slump and have an actually a more impactful second season.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. You have a coach that that's not going to get changed, or like, hey, we drafted this guy last year and now you're inheriting it. You don't have him. He's been in it 3 years with a guy and then switching. So, yeah, he's at a point where they're married together, and they're going to be able to roll out there this season, him and DQ. So, I can get with that. I can get with that. I would love for him to have an improvement. Plus, also adding in, they've added weapons. I would like to say that this offense has gotten better. You know what I mean? There's still some question marks, and there's still a hole to fill. I think now it's just like running back and then consistent deep speed. Those are the
Yeah.
two things I'm looking for. Once you add those things, like this could be one of those top five, top three, top five QB seasons, MVP caliber seasons, just from the way that he's going to be able to operate on this field with the plays and the quarterbacks that they got, not quarterback, but the receivers, the
Hmm.
creativity, and they brought Wes Welker in. And look, you don't think Cliff and Wes ain't gonna be up just drawing up all type of old 95
Of
wide nut
course.
man,
Of
look,
course.
617, 618, all the old school air raid stuff. There's
Well,
gonna be
actually,
some footballs thrown around out there.
and think about it. Debo's best year, Wes Welker was in San Fran, with him out there as far as coaching, and Tariq Hill's best year in Miami, Wes Welker was there. So,
Hey man, Wes Welker is a great receiver. He's
yeah,
been in the league for a
absolutely.
long time.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
also here's what I was thinking about this earlier. Wes was Julian Edelman before Julian Edelman. You get what I'm
He
saying?
sure
So
was.
for y'all
Sure
young
was.
folks who don't know, Wes was that guy that first started that with Tom Brady and that
Hmm.
slot receiver really getting active. So look for that position to really garner out. Somebody's gonna make a role. Maybe it's a handheld. Hey, Luke.
Maybe it's McCaffrey. Yeah,
Maybe it is McCaffrey. I mean,
yeah,
I will say this: the guy's so young and green at the position, and he's a smart kid.
yeah.
He may be able to just get underneath Wes's wing and let Wes work and just teach him how to play the slot position and be a consistent target for Jayden.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me well, I think Edelman and Welker were quarterbacks at some point in their career in college,
Yep.
and wasn't McCaffrey started off started off as a quarterback and then he transferred,
Yeah.
so maybe these synergies are being put in play for a reason. And obviously don't count out Alameda, Zacchaeus, because
Yeah.
he's another guy that will benefit from, having a Wes Welker in the building. Folks, talking with Anthony Armstrong, former Washington Redskins starting wide receiver, one of the fan favorites, still is to this very day. I was just with this guy last year when the Legends, were invited back in town, and basically had to drag this guy off the field.
Nah, you ain't lying, bro. I'm like soaking up every moment, man. Like that is, oh, it's just every day I wake up and I'm looking like, man, this is like crazy. I was able to do that. And matter of fact, yesterday I met a guy who grew up right there in D.C. He said, I think he said Allen Heights area or something like that. But he's like, man, appreciate the core memories and all that stuff. So like that, I don't. That's not beyond me to recognize, that the relationship. You know what I mean?
It's
I got
real,
I
man.
got somebody's bar mitzvah, the yarmulke from their bar mitzvah up here in my office. So I think his name is Evan. So Evan,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if he
Okay.
wants it back or anything like that,
I
but
doubt it.
it's red, it's little Redskins yarmulke, and I
Okay.
got it for whatever. I kept it, so whatever. But
But
no, I
that's love,
appreciate it,
man.
though. Yeah,
That's
absolutely,
love. See, I just
absolutely.
the irony of this with you is Texas kid comes to DC, becomes beloved by the fan base who hate, absolutely despise the Cowboys, and then, if I'm not mistaken, you finished your career as a
Uh, well,
Cowboy.
not well. Technically, I was with the Browns to finish.
Okay,
I had
okay,
one
but you
last
you
training
sniffed a
camp.
little Dallas at some point though.
I did, man. I was trying to get a job. I was trying to buy a house, and shoot, at that point, man,
Man,
after
that's your
getting cut,
childhood team, though, man. That
yeah,
had to have
yeah.
been that could have that. I'm sure that felt magical.
Not that time.
Oh,
Not in 2012. If we being real, like it
mhm,
was like a job. 2012, it was like all business mode because after getting cut in Washington,
mhm.
like I was like, man, forget y'all, and like I went down to Miami, and then I had like I just was had everything going on. So getting to be in Dallas, it was just more about landing a spot, being at home, being around my
Mhm,
mom and sister again. Now, if going back, coming
mhm.
out of Dallas, the Desperados the first time, now that would have been dream. That would have been love because that's what I thought
Oh
was going to
man,
happen, right? Because the head coach
that's
of the
what you were told,
Desperados,
right?
I mean, it seemed to have made sense, but now you
Right,
find out
right.
after the fact, hey, things weren't in the cards, but it worked out the way it was supposed to.
God
So you're
doesn't make
damn
mistakes,
right.
as we say. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Never,
absolutely,
he's never failed. So,
absolutely.
real quick, before we wrap up, because I'm trying to get everybody's take on this top five thing. Would you put Jaden in top 10 right now?
I think you got to have that conversation for sure. I think you got
Okay.
to put him in there because I do say at some point you have to consider the player's impact on his team and just what they've done. And just because it's one season, I know I knocked him down. Maybe it ain't top five, but maybe he's like number eight. Maybe he's number
I
nine
mean,
or
that's
10.
damn good after
You
one
know what I
season in
mean?
the
Because
NFL. I mean,
there's just so much inconsistency, and that's
yeah.
how the league is, right? Like people ball, they kind of work their way up. Contract year, they ball. Now you're like, he's the best in the league. Then he get paid, and his play goes down. It's like it happens in this
Yeah,
league,
it
right? So like,
does.
as
It
just as
does.
much as I can lift one player up, I can sit there and say there's a lot of bad tape where maybe he isn't the top dog in the league. His salary may say so, but the on-field performance isn't there. But right now, I think with the way that he's young, and it seems that he just hasn't slowed down, even though, like I said, one season, but
Mhm.
man, it's still slowly tracking upwards, and
You,
I'm
you
building
hit that
around him.
right on the head, man, as far as moving one up to move one down. So I'm going to tell you what happened was daggone Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl. And
Yeah,
by him winning the Super Bowl, I don't care what anyone says. Is he the best pocket passer in football? Absolutely not.
yeah,
Is as far as mechanics, I mean, he's a really good quarterback.
yeah,
But you know what? He's the best game manager in
yeah.
all of football, without question.
And it
And I
comes
don't
down
think
to being impactful.
absolutely that's an impact. That's not saying that he can't play quarterback. That's saying that he will not lose a football game for you. And on occasion, he's going to win it for you, but he has talent around him. So I think by him winning that Super Bowl, winning the MVP in the Super Bowl, probably should have been an MVP in the other Super Bowl that they lost.
Yeah.
You can't keep him out of the top five. You can't. He has to be in it.
You gotta put him up there for sure.
Hmm.
But once again, we fall in love with the statistics. You know what I mean? We want to see the most passing yards and the touchdowns and all of that. That's just not that offense. I hate the fact that he's the quote unquote leading rusher, quarterback rusher of all time. I'm like, it's 42 touchdowns for 45 yards. Like that's not, that ain't rushing touchdown. That's a sneak. That's a trick.
Right,
You know what I'm
exactly. It's a
saying?
tush push.
Yeah, so it's like congrats on it, man. Kudos to you, brother. But I mean, like, ain't no real damn. You ain't did nothing for that. But nonetheless, you got to give him some love, and maybe it's just there for a season, right? But you still want to see that play continue, and you know how this league goes, man. People out to get you. People out to
Yeah.
get you. So this is gonna be a race in this division. Let me ask you this: in the
Hmm.
NFC East, who is the top dog? Is it Jalen? I mean, like obviously you're gonna say with a Super Bowl, but like coming into the season.
Hmm.
Like who where are you
It's
thinking at? What are
it's
you
it's
looking at?
Jaden. I think Jaden's the best quarterback in the division. I do. I think Jalen has been the most impactful quarterback, but I think Jayden Daniels has all of that in 1 year.
Mm,
No, he didn't win a Super Bowl, and yes, he lost to the same guy we're talking about, Jalen Hurts. But the Eagles had a far more superior football team talent
that's
wise,
true.
and yet Washington was playing them for the NFC Championship game. That says everything about that rookie quarterback that we're talking about. He
Yeah.
got them there. And last time I looked, and I've looked at that game over and over and over, I was at the game. So, when you're covering the game, you miss some things, because there is no replay for us in media. You're there, you're seeing it. But
Yeah.
I've gone back and watched the TV version of the game. Jayden Daniels looked pretty damn good in that game. I mean,
Yeah.
he
He
he was one of the top players on the field that game. Just didn't
yeah.
have a whole lot of help with him.
That's exactly what I was sitting there on the tip of my tongue. I was like, he needed somebody else. He just
Yes.
needed one other person to show up. And I mean, Terry would have, but you know that once they
And
can
Terry
find
made
a
his
way.
play. He did, but they were like, "You're never going to do this again."
Exactly.
Zach
Exactly.
Ertz, you can get all the catches you want in the middle of the field, but you're not
Exactly.
hitting the end zone.
Exactly.
They needed
Exactly.
a home run threat at running back,
A
and
home run
hopefully that will
threat.
be addressed in this draft.
Yeah, yeah, it will be. It will be. We'll
You
see who
think
it is,
so?
though. I mean, I think since you've done the other positions, now you can really, maybe you trade up and try to get an explosive, maybe the kid out of North Carolina, maybe somebody like him
I don't
lingering
think he's going to
around.
be that far back at 29.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
does
yeah.
AP get aggressive? They already said forget them picks. You know what I mean?
He
Like, I'm
shows you that he don't care. He's going to do what he got to do to get you.
I'm not worried about a junior in college right now. You know what I mean? So anything that's 2026 and beyond, I'm not tripping right now. They're not on the roster to help you win. You have a chance to win now.
Exactly. And I
This
think that
season.
and I think that that is it's come on, Anthony. I mean, you played, you know this. You can look at the makeup of this team. You don't go out and get a Debo Samuel or Laramie Tunsil if your objective is not to tell Philly we're going to run this back. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that's got to be the objective. Let me ask you, as a former receiver, what does Debo Samuel do for this offense now? I mean, like everyone's saying, oh, he's not the same player. Stop it. He's still a really good football player. But what does he do for this offense? And more importantly, what does he do for Terry?
Man, look, here's what happened. Whenever you're on offense or defense, frankly, defense, and there's a player that's on the other side that's pretty special, you have one player wear this red penny that identifies where they line up at.
Hmm.
Debo Samuel is going to make other teams put their red penny on somebody and say, there's 19. Follow him and see
Mm.
where he goes because he's going to affect how we treat this offense. Because if he's going in some orbit motions and shifting into the backfield, they have to know where he aligns. Now, that gives you creativity. It gives you another runner. You talk about an explosive person. You got the jet sweeps, things of that nature. But what does it do for Terry? It opens him up to be more of a deep downfield X receiver, true X receiver, right? They've tried him with the quick screens. He's made some plays, but I like to
Hmm.
see him really get down the field where he can open
And
that
that's
stride
that's where
up.
he strived last year,
Yeah,
going vertical.
yeah. Because
Yep.
Debo can be physical like Noah Brown was, and he
Hmm.
and he's gonna help with that. And so you don't have to rotate players in and out so much. So Terry's gonna be able to get downfield more. Maybe his yards per catch is up. Maybe he's 1,300 yards with those 70 or 80 catches rather than the 1,100 that he finished with. But Lake, here's the most important piece that Debo's bringing. He is a DOG dog. You
And he
need
doesn't like the Eagles, by the way.
Man, he definitely didn't like that one particular safety who found
Yeah.
his way out of Philly now.
Yeah.
But still, he doesn't like Philly, and I love that because he's walking into this thing with a chip on his shoulder. He's like, I've been looking for y'all, and I'm coming to you. Matter of fact, I ain't waiting for my team to maybe make it. I got to see y'all twice, and we go
Potentially 3 times.
potentially 3 times. I love that you have his mentality on the offensive side. So you got Marshawn on one side, now you got Debo on the other. I think this team is ready to make a run.
See, folks, this is why you bring former players on, because they can tell you things. People listen to me and say, "Oh, Emita, you don't know what you're talking about." But then when I hear it come out of the mouth of a friend that's a former player, it makes me feel better, because he just said Marshawn Lattimore, and I am so tired of people saying that was a terrible trade for him and he's no good anymore. Are you out of your mind? That guy is a dog, and
Man,
he was in AJ Brown's grill,
yeah,
and with one good leg. So
yeah.
a full off season of prep and knowing his teammates, knowing their names, for God's sake. I'm looking for him to have a Pro Bowl caliber campaign this year.
Oh yeah, I think so too. Because he's coming in, like you said, he's going to be healthy and he's going to have something that he wants to prove. All he does is line up against number one receivers.
That's
And
it.
frankly, you used to worry about who was going to cover somebody over these past few seasons. Now you know, all right, if they got so and so, third Lattimore is going to be over there. You already know that, and I feel confident. Sure, he's going to give up catches. That's what happens in this league. People are good. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, AJ Brown is good. It'd be different if it was a no name that was routing him up. It wasn't. He's going up against one of the top receivers in the league.
With
Hey,
no pass rush in front of him, by the way.
with no
Yeah,
pass
yeah.
rush, you give him a pat on the butt, man. Hey, good catch, right? So
Right.
things will be different. Things will be different. I love having Lattimore over there.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anthony, my man, I appreciate you coming on. Wanted to grab you real quick, get your thoughts on that. So you heard it, folks, from him, not me. He says no, Jayden is not top five. He didn't say it, so belligerent like
Yeah,
that.
that sounds like clickbait right there. Golly,
Nah,
but you
but
know
he
how
but
it
he did
goes.
say, he said nah. He said it's coming, but out of respect for the other quarterbacks in the league, it's still a work in progress. But we all feel like number five ultimately not just will be someone that you talk about as a top five quarterback, but at some point, I really believe that the guy's going to be talked about as potentially the best quarterback in the league. But those things do come down the road. You got to have a little bit more success before you can put that stuff out there. So, Anthony, what you got going on, man? Anything that we should know about?
Man, you see, I'm taking this speaking thing on the road, so I'm working on doing some
I've been
emceeing,
seeing
doing
that.
that with the galas and whatnot. Been working on the keynote speeches and been doing some virtual things as well. So you looking for a keynote, you trying to talk to your teams, your leaders or whatnot, hit me up, man. I would love to converse with you and see how we can work something out.
All right, sounds good. Sound good. Kids doing good. Everybody okay? Jess good.
Everybody is good, man. We are good and just enjoying this warmer weather. I can't wait for summer.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I will be in touch real soon, and we got to get you on Fan Day because everyone's been asking, like, when's Anthony coming back on?
Hey,
So,
y'all just keep showing up. I'm gonna just pull up one day. Like we just gonna see a name pull up, and I'm gonna be in there. So I've been trying to make it work, but yeah,
all
I'll
right.
be there. I'll be there.
All right, man. I appreciate you, brother. We'll be in touch.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, take care. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. And as we promised, we have our third member today coming on, former NFL player himself, Mr. Chris Wilson. What's going on, Chris?
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. It's always good to have one of my friends on, a person that played at the highest level possible with the Washington Redskins when he was here. So the question that I've been posing all day, and I've been posing this question for weeks, but I get the impressions from fans, and they tell me what they think. Well, I want to get it from former players. I want to get it from guys that were in the trenches that knows
Mhm,
exactly what it was. So the question that I've been asking
mhm.
is Jayden Daniels a top five quarterback right now?
That's an easy question. Yes.
Oh, okay. So you out of your
I don't have to
former
think about that
players, they've said no. They said
one. Ooh.
that. Well, Zoe and Anthony respectfully said they
Boy.
think that he will be, but he still needs a little bit more.
I'm gonna disrespectfully disagree with them.
My man.
How is he not? So
That-
the kid is coming off of a Heisman quarterback performance. So it's not like he just got hot this year. Now he comes into the league poised.
Right.
Now I will say this respectfully. They was comparing him to RG3. He not RG3.
Nah. He's better than Robert.
He's
And
not
I don't
RG3.
mean that. And I don't mean
He's
that
athletic.
disrespectfully.
Absolutely. He's athletic like RG3, but the decision making is so fast and so correct. Even if he's throwing the ball away, throw it out of bounds over somebody's head. I love when a quarterback do that. Me being a special teams guy, punting is the number one thing we do.
Right.
Let's put the punt team out there.
You know what I'm saying?
The turnover is better than trying to force it. The dude, how many points did he score on the Lions?
I mean, they hung 40 something on them. Yeah. So,
because the Lions had 40 something. I want to say he had 50 points. And so I'm sitting here like, the dude is not even the points. It's not even the success. It's the decision making and the leadership. Yeah. Those are things that talent that talent ain't got nothing to do with that.
So let me pose it to you this way then, because and I understand where people are coming from when they say who you gonna bump out of that top five. So
that's talking about top five current, right?
Top five current.
Yeah. I'm not all time.
Yeah. So
you got
you got Mahomes, you got Lamar, you got Josh Allen,
you got Josh.
But right there is kind of like a separation.
Okay, right there's a pause. It's a pause when you start talking.
Yeah. But I mean, you got Joe Burrow, who's still.
I'll give you Jalen Hurts.
Well, see, that's what I was saying. I said Jalen Hurts has to be considered a top five quarterback. He just won a Super Bowl, man. And I understand he's a game manager. I get that.
No, he's not.
What would you say?
So let me go all the way back and get some off my chest.
Okay.
When Jalen Hurts was at Alabama, he was a starting quarterback for more than just one season.
Sure he was.
Tua came in, again, of course, no disrespect to nobody. Tua came in, took his spot, or Nick Saban gave him his spot. So, of course, he had to go somewhere else, right? So my knock, this is just me talking, on Tua was he held the ball too long trying to make something happen, like you in junior high school or something. Make the right decision. Sometimes plays don't work. That's why we run 60, 70 plays a game.
Right.
We ain't gonna score 60 touchdowns.
Right.
So when it don't work, we got to go make adjustments and then come back. If you look at the play that he hurt his hip on in college, he held that ball about 8 seconds running around trying to make something happen. Get rid of the ball. How long you expect the O-line to block for you? Right. RG3 used to do the same thing. I used to tell him, my locker right next to Thriller, you know.
That's what you call him, right?
Because he was Michael Jackson with the glove, you know.
Right.
He's shaking, you know. But Thriller used to get active. But then some plays like, man, it's not there. And you see how that caught up with him against the Ravens. So then you get a guy like Jalen Hurts that's making the right decisions. Ain't necessarily fine. Now, don't get me wrong. Tua can sling it. RG3 can sling it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I love a quarterback that's going to make – I love Kurt Warner. I played against him and had so many wins. And I barely touched the guy's jersey. Kurt Warner don't need no O-line.
Right.
Kurt Warner can play. Remember in elementary school, 1,001, 1,000, 2,000, and he just blitzed. Kurt Warner not gonna get touched because he makes his decisions so fast. And it's funny that when I went back and saw that movie, I said, that's what made him who he was. He gonna throw the ball at running back feet. He gonna throw the ball over somebody's head out of bounds, and he's just gonna do his thing. Jalen Hurts is a great decision maker. And he's so poised, he could care less about what anybody thinks. He's a winner. Right.
So you put him in the top five for sure. Then.
He's a Super Bowl champion.
That's what I said.
This year.
Yeah. I mean, he was an MVP, Super Bowl MVP, you know. And probably should have been in the game in the Super Bowl they lost to the Chiefs.
Is that the objective?
I thought it was. I mean,
when each team start training camp, the objective is to do what?
Get to the Super Bowl and win it.
Did he do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is me. I got Pat, Lamar,
Mm-hmm.
Josh,
Mm-hmm.
Hurts,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of disrespectful to Hurts, seeing how he the one that beat them all.
Right.
Just you talking about just quarterbacks,
Yeah,
right?
just in that 5. Doesn't have to be any
I got
order,
I
but
got Jayden right after that. Who?
okay. So you're taking Jayden over Joe Burrow,
Yes.
Matt Stafford.
Now, Jayden. Now let's talk about Burrow first.
Mm-hmm.
I love Burrow for the same reasons
Mm-hmm.
with the decision making. I
Mm-hmm.
think Jayden makes the decisions a little bit faster. I'm gonna have to find out what that software is that he on.
Yeah, because it is something. I mean, you know what? I've never heard anybody say when they compare him to Joe Burrow that he's making those decisions faster. As a former NFL player, linebacker,
Oh,
you would know.
I love Burrow when he was at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
said this guy gonna be all right. Some of the
Mm-hmm.
passes when he was at LSU weren't necessarily the most accurate, but that was him trusting those awesome wide receivers he had, which was a great decision. I got Justin Jefferson 1-on-1, I'm throwing it. I got Chase 1-on-1, I'm throwing it. Yeah.
Right.
So I just think Jayden is making those decisions a lot faster. Of course, he's running a lot faster, and he's not running reckless.
Okay.
He's jumping out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
I get them 12 more yards. I'm 12 yards outside of the end zone. You're not gonna touch me. I'm gonna jump out of bounds. I get them. I got a new set of downs. I don't gotta get that right now. I gotta put my head down. You ain't never seen Jay put his head down and try to run nobody over before. No, I'm not doing that. I got 2 running backs.
You know what? You can go back to the second game of the season when he took the hit against the Giants. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And he was down.
Mm-hmm.
After that, all year long, it was, that was kind of like his indoctrination into the NFL. Like, I can't do this.
It takes a poised person to understand their value. I remember when Tom Brady lost the football and didn't jump on the pile to get the fumble back.
I mean, he
Some
knew.
would think that was arrogant. Some would stress out. I got to get the ball back because I might get took out. Tom Brady knows, okay, I messed up. I'm going to own it. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to make up for it. But I'm too valuable to get down in here with these D linemen.
So you think Jayden has that kind of cerebral type of just mentality? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I watched him week in and week out.
I just remember when you were here for the Legends thing and, we were talking about him and you said he's different. He's different. And you can just see it.
It's not a fluke.
Yeah, it's not. And that's the other thing that people keep talking to me about. Oh, well, quarterbacks have that second year slump. And I'm like, not necessarily. Patrick had an MVP season his second year, and so did Lamar. So why can't Jayden be in that group as opposed to somebody else?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you why Jayden won't have a second year slump, because he first of all, shout out to the Commanders offensive coordinator, right?
Cliff Kingsbury.
He's doing a great job of balancing the offense so we don't keep hitting the Jayden button. We're not gonna keep hitting the QB button and make him run. Let's zone. Let's do the zone button. Let's zone read option again. Let's do the read option again. Let's do it again. And then he finally get caught. Even though slow punching George Foreman, the catch we won. Rest in peace, George. He'll catch you. He wouldn't know. Okay, I'm gonna catch you with one of them, right?
Right.
But they balanced it out. They balanced the run game, screen game, short game, mid game, deep game, right? They just added Debo.
I know.
They talking about, do they need a premier running back? I don't know. They may not, depend on who available. We got the fabulous 5. I call our 5 picks in the draft the Fab 5, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see who's available, when you got picks like that. But they're balancing out. They're not stressing. They're not pressed to do. Oh, I'm gonna do something with Jayden because it's the only player we got. Nah, they running the offense, and he's running the offense well.
And they're trying to make sure that he doesn't have to wear his cape every game. When you go out and get a Debo, you go out and you get yourself a legit tackle. That changes everything, right?
Yeah, so when you go out and just run the offense, he can be Superman when he has opportunities to be Superman.
Mm-hmm.
It's like something I had to learn too late in my career. I was trying to hit everybody so hard. No, you can't hit everybody hard. These dudes too good. Go ahead and
Right.
make the tackle. Just grab them, get them down, sling them down. But every now and then, when you catch them in the alley, and ain't no left or right to go. Now you can turn on the gas and put your face on something. So those opportunities are going to come for him to put his cape on. And he sees and he kind of knows those opportunities. Like, okay, if they get in this situation, in this coverage, I'm going to hit him right here. If I can get more, I will. If not, I'm sliding. And we're going to keep rolling.
So, you're the only player that came on and went with him, yes, in your top 5. So I'm going to give you kudos for that because
So
go ahead.
go back to what we was talking about. Who's better than him?
That's what I keep
You
saying.
said Burrow.
I think people might say Burrow's better than Jayden right now.
Burrow can give him a run for it. He's not better than Jay.
I mean, Jayden beat him head to head too, right?
Right, come on.
I mean, in his home turf and in a must-win game for Cincinnati at that time.
Hello.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, listen, I've been saying for a long time, I don't know how you can take him out of a top 5. And I understand Jalen Hurts has moved himself in there. But to me, the person on the island that has to fall out of there is got to be Joe Burrow.
He got to fall out. He got to earn it back in. This the current top 5 is a constant. You don't get it off name.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get it off name. Burrow never won the Super Bowl. Jalen never won the Super Bowl. Jalen went to the NFC Championship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How far did Burrow get to the?
He got to the Super Bowl. He got to the Super Bowl,
and
he lost to Matt Stafford and the Rams.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. He could be in there next year.
You know who hasn't been to the Super Bowl? Lamar and Josh Allen.
Correct.
But they both have multiple. Well, Josh just got an MVP. Lamar already has 2.
And I'm putting them in the top 5 because of what I see, man. Them dudes
of course, they're different.
Lights out. They different. Both of them lost games when their receiver actually just dropped the ball at the end.
So Chris, this is what I do. And folks, I'm talking with Chris Wilson, former Washington Redskin player, good friend of mine. Guy's doing some great things. Another high character person. One of the things that I think, if you look at all these quarterbacks, okay, always do if you took this guy off this team and put him on this team, would that team continue to ascend or would they come down? And I've said this. If you gave Jayden Daniels the weapons that Joe Burrow has and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, that could get ugly.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, from a talent standpoint, but I don't know. I think Washington got some weapons.
And now, yeah. I'm saying Terry's great, and then Debo comes in. So, but I'm just saying, like for last year, if Jayden's on Cincinnati last year, did they make the playoffs? I would think they do. But Joe Burrow had that kind of year. So, go ahead.
I think I hear what you're saying, but +1 to the weapons around Burrow. But does either of those teams, if you swap the quarterbacks out, get past Philly in the NFC?
Nah.
Not this year, right? So he
Good
got
point.
right there.
Good point. That's a great point, actually. Yeah, nobody's getting past them. Washington needs one thing in order, in my mind, to really be able to combat Philadelphia. And I think they need a home run running back. I truly believe that. I think if you can get a back that can take it to the house anytime from anywhere on the field, it just opens the offense up even more. Now with the Debo on one side, or you can move him in motion, do different things. Then you have Jayden who can take off if he needed to, but he can beat you from the pocket. And then you have Terry, of course, and Zach Ertz. It just opens up everything. And now he's got a legit Pro Bowl tackle that's blocking for him. Yeah. But if you give me a running back with some speed, because I like Brian Robinson, don't get me wrong. I like Austin Eckler. I like their whole backfield, Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichol, but none of those guys strike fear in anyone as far as if this guy gets the ball in open space, it's a wrap.
Yeah. You know, and I almost hate doing this because, this is like, that time of year, but I think they need a dominant edge.
Of course they do.
And I said dominant. I don't know if they want to go speed. I don't know if they want to go hybrid. I don't know if they want to go big. But they need somebody who can say for example,
Just a disruptor,
the
you
little
know?
toss, the little toss from Saquon. They need somebody that's gonna grab that little wide receiver. Watch out, move you into that tackle, and I'm coming up here. You try to run zone my way, it don't work because I'm putting the edge on it. All the old linemen bumping into each other. You know, somebody that can really make it hard for teams to run on them. I like the big D tackle, and I think they got a good D line. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I like OG. I got to call him an OG now. Wagner and I like the linebackers. I mean, come on, they in the NFC Championship. You're talking about a good team, so it's nothing to not like. But I think they need somebody to slow the run game down. Saquon did just a little bit too much.
Man, it made it look too easy. He was too comfortable, wasn't
he?
And
then Shipley got in there and almost ran 400 yards.
Gosh,
you know what I mean?
Man, yeah,
so,
that in the
you gotta
NFC
be
Championship
solid somewhere, and you got to kind of stick to your guns and say, okay, this team not gonna run on us. We gonna make Jaylen pass or whatever. You know, I'm splitting hairs, right? We in the NFC Championship, but I think with that. Because offense was scoring. The offense is moving the ball.
Offense wasn't the problem.
So if they stay in it, which is what I told all my hometown Michiganders, I said, okay, if these Lions play around, they're going to lose. I said, they're supposed to win, but they better come out. They better run the ball. They better keep running it. They better, play good defense. I ain't all that gambling. And sure enough, they did the opposite.
They did the opposite.
They scored. They did score a lot, but I was trying to tell them. I said
they went away from Gibbs in that game too much. I mean, because he was killing Washington, and then Johnson decided he didn't want to use him anymore.
Well, it's not that. It's the pressure of another team scoring points. You almost feel like I have to throw it. It's like, oh, he just scored right back. Okay, we're gonna run it a little bit. Whew. All right, we scored that drive, but it was close. It was tight. It took us 8 plays, but that's what they needed to do.
Yeah. Keep the ball away from Jayden.
Yes,
that's what they needed to do.
Get some stop them quick. But I got him in the top 5. I mean, outside of Burrow is definitely a contender. It's not like that's an argument, but I got Jaylen over him too. I can't wait to meet Jaylen. I'm bringing a few of my young.
He good dude, man. Like he's as advertised. Just being in that locker room with him, and you know what, Chris, man, I can honestly say this. This will be my 16th year. I've never been in the locker room, but one year where the quarterback was consistently in that locker room, and that was when Alex Smith was there.
Wow.
Other than that, I mean, Robert's our guy, we know, but Robert wasn't always in that locker room, and that wasn't always his fault because, the team had a leash on him at the time. They wouldn't let him do anything without them knowing. But
different management, right?
Yeah, right. But other quarterbacks, they just weren't in the locker room. Alex was. Jayden Daniels was in that locker room every day of the year, in the locker room, joking with players, hanging out with defensive linemen, offensive linemen, cornerbacks.
Being a leader.
And they embraced them. And that goes to show you why that team did what it did last year, because they believed in a rookie that, you can't deny his talent. That's a given. But the fact that he wanted to come in and earn their trust and their respect.
Yeah.
He did it. So, man.
I can see it from way over here. He legit.
Nice. Well, look, folks, we had Chris Wilson, my guy. Chris, before we wrap up, what you got going on, my friend? Anything we should know about?
Oh man, I got a lot going on.
You always have a lot going on.
I got a whole lot going on right now. I got a lot going on. Working in management right now with GM. That's going well.
Nice.
Got my youth football organization going into its 5th year. So this is actually my son. Our oldest group is 12 and under, 10 and under. We got an 8 and under. Then we got a 6 under flag. That's a big deal because Flint never had an organization. They had a lot of youth teams. Never had an organization that the city and the county can just say, hey, let's go over there. Let's go over there with consistently get some coaching, challenge some guys. So we trying to get to Ford Field this year. We've been coming close the last couple of years. Man, my daughter is doing an excellent job in ballet.
Brooke, tell her I said what's up.
She got some ballet schools, some collegiate level ballet schools looking at her. So we about to take some visits. I don't know how the ballet NILs go. Somebody let me know.
Hey man, it's a thing. We're gonna make it a thing.
Yeah, I said she's the Michael Jordan of ballet.
Nice. That's what's up,
my
man.
Middle child Pierce just got awarded high honors, for the Honor Society. Doing exceptionally well in tennis and track.
Nice.
Top hurdler in the state, doing well in tennis. And then I got the grand finale. Young Reese playing 12 and under football hybrid. He locking down slots, edge rushing. Looking like a chip.
You got him on that side his dad played.
Yeah. Hey, them guys getting drafted every year.
Yeah, I get you, brother. That's what's up, man.
And then, my wife, she probably don't want me saying her name, but I ain't gonna name all my kids. I'll name her. Just doing a great job with focusing on family right now. She got some other endeavors going on, but I ain't gonna sit here and run it all down. But we busy.
That's what's up, man. Tell Serena I said what's up. Well, look, man, we got to do this more often because,
yes, sir.
As we've always said, you've always had the gift of gab. You know what I mean? And
well, you I think it's that Penn State point guard in you. You always threw the lobs up and made it easy.
I appreciate
what is he gonna ask me? He didn't tell me what we was talking about.
I sure didn't, and I told you I'm not. We just gonna come on and flow like we always do. That's what we do, man. So
yes, sir.
So listen, man, I got to get you back on here soon, and I got on Tuesdays now coming up on Be on Radio 1 in DC. So
nice.
The pod will be on radio on those Tuesdays. So got to get you to come on there, and then when you come in town, we got to get you in the building. So
yes, sir. I love what we got going on.
Absolutely. So look, folks, Chris Wilson, how can everybody follow you on your social media?
Yeah, you can follow me. My handle is Coach Chris Wilson 95, and that's on Instagram as well as YouTube. Right, please follow me on YouTube. I just started my YouTube, so my followers is low.
All right.
And then that's it. I'm just on YouTube and Instagram right now. Just Chris Wilson on Facebook. That's the old school stuff, right?
Well, that's good, man. Well, look. We do have to wrap this up because I got people trying to join. So we're going to wrap this up, but you hang tight because I'm going to talk to you afterwards. But folks, this is my guy right here. It's like my little brother, Chris Wilson, doing some great stuff and a good man on top of it. Like I said, I only deal with high character people that are believers. And this guy right here is one of them. So appreciate you coming on, little bro. And I'll talk to you like 2-3 days. We're going to be in talk because I need you to come on Tuesdays.
Copy that. Appreciate you for having me.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more right here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Hang tight. I greatly appreciate today's guest coming on. And of course, I appreciate you for listening or watching the show today. And Lorenzo Alexander started it off with us, did a great job. And then we had Chris Wilson come on and then Anthony Armstrong. So definitely like to, thank once again former NFL players and good friends of mine on top of that for taking time out of their day to come on. And then, of course, you out there, this thing is rolling and humming along because of you. My great friends out there, great fans, great supporters. And I just want to thank you guys because, you've made this fun again for me to get back into this kind of saddle on top of the many other things that I am doing right now. And just wanted to do, some shameless plugs for some other stuff that I have going on. So, you can check out my NFL work at heavy.com, doing some stuff there with them, some Dolphins, Bengals, Commanders coverage, NFL coverage by and large. And then, of course, the folks over at WOL, in DC for reaching out to me saying that they love what I'm doing and they want to put my show on radio again. And so, on Tuesdays at 11 a.m., you'll be able to listen to my show live on radio in the DMV, so excited about that. And then, of course, you can go to sportsjourney.com. And you'll see some of my other work up there. And then, want to thank all the folks over at, CBS 6 in Richmond for, having me on board doing some things, Commanders, insider with them. And then, of course, ABC 7 in DC. I go on there with my good friend Natalie Spalla and Scott Abraham. It's a lot going on, and I've got another big one coming up, folks, but I can't say anything yet, but it's killing me not to, but they're going to have to make the announcement. So yeah, we're just humming along here. I feel like a blessed man, and it's because of folks out there like yourself who, always send encouraging words and always, let me know if you like the product that I'm putting out. Some of you tell me you don't, but most of the time it's like 99% of everybody out there is very supportive, and we have a good time with this. So remember, if you want to come on tomorrow on Friday Fan Day, all you have to do is email me at thelakelewisjrshow@gmail.com. So once again, it's thelakelewisjrshow@gmail.com. Let me know it's not too late. We'll send out that link around 1 p.m. on Friday. So if you don't get, you reach out to me by then, unfortunately, we're probably going to have to bring you on the next week. But once you get on that email distribution list, you're more than welcome to come on any Friday, and it's building and we're having a lot of fun with it. So hopefully I will see you tomorrow on our Friday Fan Day. So as always, my friends, I appreciate you listening, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Be safe and have a good one.